recorded. 10,000 emails.
10,000 emails.
10,000 emails. Speaking of 10,000 emails, welcome back to Nerd Mythology, people. Thank you for joining us once again. Once again. In this episode, what am I doing? I don't know why I'm talking like that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought we were just going to be casual.
Yeah, we are casual. Anyway, so
Barry Bonds over here.
So we saw the latest episode of The Mandalorian.
That we did.
I saw it yesterday. I think you saw it the day before, or
no,
yesterday morning,
like,
right?
Yeah, right in the morning. Your friend wouldn't leave me alone until I watched it.
So we got to watch this now.
Yeah.
Middle of work's like, stop what you're doing. We're watching this.
Well, everyone's trying to talk during morning announcements. This guy's got it on his lap or his iPad, just blaring.
Yeah, it's like right there. Set up the chairs and set up the desks. Like, all right, we're watching this. Like, close the doors. Nobody's coming in.
Shut the lights off.
So we got like an interesting episode, right? I kind of got a little upset at the end, but anyway, so like we saw the episode. We saw that Mando and Bo-Katan went out. They went to SoFi 15. What's
I'm not going to pretend to remember
planet
the
name?
names.
I forgot the planet name already, but we saw Jack Black.
Yep.
And what was the chick's name?
Lizzo. Yeah. I know the name. I don't know the person. Musician, I think.
Yeah, musician.
Okay.
Yeah, she makes music, and
Okay.
I don't know.
I think that's cool that they're bringing all these famous actors into it. You know? So the fact that we saw Jack Black, saw Lizzo, and then it continued on to where they went to the control room.
Yeah.
And they showed Doc.
Old Doc Brown.
Doc Brown. That's not his actual name, but Christopher. Yeah.
Christopher Allen Williams. Lloyd. Sorry, Christopher Allen Lloyd.
No, to me, he's always gonna be
Doc Brown.
Doc Brown.
It don't matter what it is. Like, that's it. Great Scott. But no, so we see the episode, and basically they're just guns for hire at that point. That was literally the title of the episode, Guns for Hire. They go in. By the way, spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet, but if you're watching this podcast, then you should be caught up by now.
Yeah, we usually post a little later.
But so we see them go in, and they're basically like trying to figure out what's going on with the droids that are kind of going rogue, and it kind of, there's like a deeper plot in there. Obviously, like in the episode, they kind of show them that they kind of like found out what was going on and why those droids were there and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think there's also like a more in-depth,
An underlying
issue there
Yeah.
as to why those droids were still, under old coding. And I think we're going to see that in a later episode, because obviously we saw that, I think it was like episode 3, when we saw like the doctor, the cloning doctor that Moff Gideon had.
Yep.
And that girl, I forgot the girl's name too, but when they went out to the shipyard, so go find the mobile lab and, try to get supplies and stuff like that. We obviously
pretty
saw
much
that
set him up.
she had like a second agenda going on.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think these droids also are under another agenda, to try and like infiltrate cities and maybe try to like take over. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with these droids, but that's kind of like my thought process behind that. We also saw that Jack Black, if you notice, the pin that he was wearing on his right side is part of like, he was like an Imperial also, and he got rehabilitated.
Yeah.
Back into society.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to see. So like,
Because the New Republic, aren't those their little pins?
yeah, those little pins that they were wearing, like the red and white that they were wearing, that like identifies that they were Imperial, and now they are part of the New Republic, being integrated and stuff like that. So it makes me think that Jack Black might be possible, like maybe like bad guy in the future. I'm not sure.
Setting up a plot for a future event.
Which would be kind of interesting. Like, I would never think that Jack Black would be like a bad guy.
I like it because you don't
expect it, right?
They picked a perfect character to kind of hide it.
Oh yeah, and I know Jack Black's like a big nerd, huge nerd also. So he was pretty good for the part as well. I like his acting. As far as old girl, Lizzo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about.
I was okay with it. No, like I said, I don't know nothing about her, so
yeah, I was
I'm okay with it.
All right,
Doesn't
whatever.
bother me.
But we also see that Baby Yoda kind of like went straight to her, like no.
Oh, Grogu.
Yeah, like no hesitation, nothing. It's like, hey, can I pet your kid? Yeah, sure. All right, there he goes.
Hey, it's a sign if Grogu likes you. You're probably a good person.
You made it. You made it in life. But that being said, it's kind of weird that he kind of just goes along with these people. It's like, is he judging their character like right away? Like, how is he judging their character? How is he so trusting? And why is it that he can? Because obviously we see that him and Bo-Katan are starting to form like a relationship as well, and it's kind of pretty cool to see because it's gonna be like she's gonna be his space mom basically. You have Mando as a space dad, and Bo-Katan's gonna be space mom. So, come on, Disney, make it official.
Even though he's 150 years old already.
Yeah, and
he's older than both of them.
Which is crazy to think that. I think, how old is he? He's like 50 or something like
that's
that.
That's what it was.
Like
he was
50,
like 50 yeah.
years old. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty old already.
So it's crazy. But then we see that obviously like they take care of the droid problem, and then they go over to meet with the other Mandalorians. They have like a battle right there. This is a controversy that I have. This is the
let me hear it. Spit it out.
There's a trouble. I don't think that saber belongs to Bo-Katan. It had to be said, and I said it.
That's where you stand, huh? That's the hill you're gonna die on.
That's the hill I'm gonna die on.
So obviously you're mad about it because in order to get the Darksaber, you had to have won it in battle. They kind of went around it in a way and said, "Hey, she won it because I was disarmed, and she picked it up and then just killed the opponent that disarmed me.
Exactly.
Therefore, she is now the rightful owner,
owner of the Darksaber.
And I told you this earlier. They're kind of going off of the same rules as like in Harry Potter. For a wand. Mm-hmm. If you disarm someone, their wand is now. It kind of belongs to you. It's. What's the word I'm looking for? It kind of grows the bond with you now.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Bonded to you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we saw with the Elder one.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked at like, okay, I can see. I don't really know, if there's if in any other show it wasn't written like that, and they kind of worded it to where it'll fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just kind of playing it really fast and loose right now. Like, obviously, Mando didn't want the Darksaber from the get-go. Like, I understand that.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't... He never meant to be, like, the ruler of Mandalore. He never meant to be, like, the wielder of the Darksaber.
He just wants to walk the way.
Exactly. But he won it in battle. He actually did win it in battle. I mean, Bo-Katan went against some NPC that just kind of showed up. It's like, pow. All right, you're dead. Darksaber's in my hand.
I always knew it was going to end up back to her no matter what.
And I expected it, but like I expected it in a different way, I think. And this is where I just do not think that the Darksaber belongs to her. She should definitely fight for it.
I get that.
Or, like I said in a previous episode, like if they form a relationship together and, it's like ruler and...
But seeing how it was for the last episode, the armor sent her out pretty much to gather other Mandalorian to, start their, rebuild their civilization,
exactly.
their culture. I saw it happening. From that episode, I was like, she's eventually going to get that saber back.
Yeah.
How she was going to get it, I didn't really know how. But I imagine they were going to word it some way where, he was going to hand it to her.
Oh, man. All right.
Where's his spear at?
The Beskar spear?
Yeah.
It got melted down.
Oh, that's right. Is that Grogu's new No, that's not Grogu's new plate.
It was. I think she turned it into like a shoulder plate for Mando or for or did she turn it into the Grogu's little armor
That's what I'm
that
saying.
he has like
is
underneath?
his plate.
It could be that. I'm not sure. I can't remember what she turned it into, but basically they melted the Beskar spear because it was a threat to Mandalorians. So she said that by him wielding a Beskar spear, that's technically like the only thing that could harm Mandalorians. Because Beskar against Beskar, it's basically it's gonna win.
Yeah.
The only other thing out there that could like possibly stop is the Darksaber, and also a lightsaber per se. But it was shown that lightsabers aren't necessarily like meant to cut through Beskar, because Beskar is like one of the strongest metals in the galaxy.
Okay.
So we saw that, and that's basically why they got rid of the Beskar spear.
So now, question. This is just from my own curiosity. The fact that Grogu is going to be, he's pretty much being trained to walk the way of the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
Is he going to ever wield a saber himself?
I think so. Maybe, possibly.
Is he allowed to? Because are lightsabers only handed out to actual Jedi?
So
Or
you have
can
to
you just
be
force.
So you have to be trained in the Jedi arts to be able to wield a lightsaber, but not necessarily. I think there's a plot in the Star Wars Rebels where you have a kid in there that he was not necessarily trained as a Jedi, but he kind of like learned how to wield a lightsaber.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but it's been seen before that somebody wields a lightsaber and they're not necessarily trained. They just see it like as a weapon, a high valuable weapon at that. And whoever wields a lightsaber, it's like almost like a status. Like if you are able to get your hands on a lightsaber, if you're not a Jedi, it's almost like a status thing. Like you're like really notorious.
Okay.
But I think a lightsaber itself, you should be able to like wield it normally, like no force powers. Like obviously the force helps you.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be force sensitive to be able to wield a lightsaber. Okay, I was just curious on that if they're ever going to have, because obviously he didn't continue on his training with Luke.
Exactly.
But the fact that he did spend time with actual Jedi, learning, trying to hone in his force.
Yeah. So he does have that training, but obviously as more time goes on and he does not train in the Jedi arts, he's going to start to like somewhat forget about like the teachings that Luke taught him.
Yeah.
Because we saw that from the moment of Order 66 and that he got rescued, we saw that he kind of like took his powers and he kind of just like put them to sleep. He kind of like
suppressed them
a lot, so he wasn't going to be able to easily found in the galaxy.
Okay.
So as the more time that goes on, obviously like there's different like rules out there and like how things are going to go, and we actually did see that in the video game Jedi Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that the I forgot her name, but the girl that trains, well, kind of semi-trains Cal Kestis, she actually renounced the Force. So she didn't want to, she was Force sensitive, and she just renounced it. She said, I don't want it anymore, which is a whole different plot point, because it's like, I never thought that you could just be able to like give it all up completely.
Yeah.
So she said she did. She was able to like just give it all up completely, and that's it. So she was training Cal Kestis as, her Padawan per se. Like this is all still after Order 66, but she wasn't necessarily like the best one to train him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that
just
does.
because she didn't have the Force. So it's like, so if we see something similar like this with Grogu moving forward, I mean, it could happen if he completely takes in the Mandalorian ways and then he just turns into a Mandalorian completely. That could be a thing.
Because I'm not aware of any other Mandalorian with force sensitive powers. Mm-mm. Is there? So essentially,
no.
And because he's still very young,
yeah,
for his race,
exactly.
They say, obviously his species live a very long life.
They do, yeah.
So if he's gonna walk the way of the Mandalorian, essentially with force sensitive powers,
yeah,
he will eventually become possibly one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Mandalorian warrior.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the universe.
Oh, absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe that.
They set something up because obviously this timeline for the Mandalorian falls back during a time,
right.
before the Force Awakens.
Exactly.
So I wonder if they're setting it up to where if they happen to make a new movie in the future, if they're going to show Grogu as an adult.
Yeah.
Even though the dude's already 50.
Oh, yeah. Right? Exactly. And I'm definitely curious as to where his storyline is going to go. What's going to be his big bad.
Yeah.
Because I think at this point, this is happening after... Oh, man. I'm getting into timelines right now. I think didn't I have pulled up the other day?
The whole timeline throws me off.
I had it pulled up the other day. Hold on. Here it is. So right here we see that the Mandalorian happens after episode 6.
The 6?
Yeah, that's episode 6. So like right after that. So Darth Vader is dead.
Yep.
So we can confirm that. So this is all happening after that. So I'm just kind of curious because the only other big bad that we got, is after like the last trilogy in Star Wars with Rey.
Yeah.
And that was just Emperor Palpatine himself, right? Palpatine was like the biggest bad.
Yeah. No one knew he was there yet though.
So
because he was still controlling Snoke.
Exactly. So I'm kind of curious if it is going to be like Snoke that's going to be like the big bad, or if it's going to be Kylo Ren as well. So
Kylo Ren had a very short reign.
He did, yeah. And this is hear me out here. So that in The Mandalorian, Luke was actually starting up his Jedi school, his Jedi Academy, right?
Yeah.
And Grogu was going to be kind of like part of that Jedi schooling, right?
Yeah.
It didn't work out with Grogu. He left, and then he started another Jedi Academy, and it was kind of successful, and Ben Solo was actually the one in there, right? Well, Kylo Ren. So I wonder if at some point Kylo Ren has like run-ins with Grogu, because he grows into a full-fledged adult at that point, right? And we know that Grogu's going to be well in his possibly 100 years old.
Possibly. I mean, I don't really know how far, once the Kylo Ren, once his reign had happened. I don't know how many years that is.
Exactly. I'm not sure. Obviously, we know that Luke Skywalker's still alive in it. So I'm going to take a guess and say maybe like another 20, 30 years.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he couldn't be too much further.
So it can't be too much further. So but we know for sure, for a fact, that Kylo Ren is going to be a full-fledged adult. So I'm wondering. I'm just wondering. I'm kind of like just speculating. And if not Kylo Ren, it could be Snoke, that maybe has run-in with Grogu. But this is just pure speculation at this point. I'm just guessing right now. We had a little pause there. Battery died. We had to change out a battery, but
Equipment. Damn equipment.
Dang equipment, man. This stuff gets pricier and pricier every time. Like we have to like do like an upgrade, like, oh, we need this. Oh, we need
if you
that.
saw behind the cameras, it started off with one microphone and an iPad, and now there's 2 cameras, laptop, external hard drives, and then a mixer, and a lot of cords everywhere with lighting.
Everywhere there's lighting. If you can see like how bright it is, oh man, it's God.
It's like a full production show.
Got the power of the sun in here. But so I left off at we might possibly have like run-ins with Grogu and Kylo Ren, or with Grogu and General Snoke.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm curious to see how that goes, how his story arc kind of evolves and develops, because I know for sure that he's gonna outlive all of these people. So if there's something that's gonna go past the last episode of the Star Wars saga, then I'd be curious too. Like, I'd be
I'm
curious,
excited
like,
to see it.
what would come after.
Yep, it's
pumped.
definitely.
I'm ready.
I don't know how many seasons they're gonna make of Mandalorian. Obviously, if they have it planned, or like, hey, we're gonna make X amount of episode or seasons,
Right?
And then right after that, it's leading into another movie.
Yep.
Obviously they have other shows they're talking about making.
Yeah, the
Star Wars,
the Ahsoka series is still
yeah.
coming in, and Knights of the Old Republic, I think it's going to be another series that they're going to do. I think it's going to be an animated series. So there's plenty of Star Wars lore to go around, and I'm glad that these guys are the ones in charge of it, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. So they're definitely taking it in a good direction. So I'm excited to see what transcribes after this.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to the next segment, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse, is it?
It's not
the animated.
It's Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So here's I got a little something for you here. So basically, we see that he goes into the multiverse, and he finds all these Spider-Men, the Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah.
We see all the different versions of Spider-Man, right? Mm-hmm. Have you noticed like all of the different versions of them, of the Spider-Man?
Yeah, I've been peeking them.
Well, you have Spider-Pig.
Spider-Pig.
We got confirmed that the PS4 version of Spider-Man is in there. The Ultimate Spider-Man from like the animated series is in there. There's also a Spider Horse. If you didn't,
I did not know that. That might be.
I was like, what timeline is that?
That might be overdoing it, But hey, whatever. If you like horses and spiders.
Well, it's actually like a different timeline, like an old Western timeline of Spider-Man. And I was like, are you?
But is it a horse?
Like, it is a horse. Yeah, it's a horse. But he also has a horseman that's also a Spider-Man variant.
That's all right, whatever.
So yeah, it's
that doesn't tickle my fancy, but it's someone out there,
somebody out
there. It'd be interesting to see it.
They're like, yep, put him in there. It's a horse. But anyways, like, you have all the different variations of Spider-Man, and like the plot point that we're kind of gonna see is so you see the bad guy in the Spider-Man movie is the spotted guy. Like, I don't know what his actual name is, but basically his powers are kind of like, he has like all these spots, and they're kind of wormholes basically, and he gets to like steal stuff and like kind of just take whatever he wants. Yeah. And for Spider-Man, it's kind of like hard to fight him, right? So he tries to fight this guy, and every time he tries to land a punch, he opens up a wormhole in his body, and it's like, doesn't land a punch. This is where the Spider-Verse Spider-Men get involved and say like, hey, you created like an incursion. Like, this isn't how things are supposed to go. This isn't like a bad guy that was supposed to be here in this timeline. He
created him by what? By going through the
basically not going through the Spider-Verse, but because what is the arc of Spider-Man? What is the most iconic thing that you can remember? How did Spider-Man become Spider-man? So obviously he got bit,
the
right?
Spider, yeah.
So
we
know the bite, but what kind of like, like the whole mantra basically, like what did Peter Parker decide to like? What was the big life life event and
Peter Uncle Ben dying.
Uncle Ben dying.
Yeah,
exactly. So when Uncle Ben dies, that's how Spider-Man kind of becomes Spider-Man. He with great power comes great responsibility,
yeah.
right? And we've seen different variations of that in Spider-Man No Way Home. We saw that it wasn't Uncle Ben that did it; it was Aunt May. Aunt May gave him the arc, like with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
I choked up, by the way. I was like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But obviously that was, I wouldn't say that was his arc in the MCU because he had already became
he did, but
a great hero before that.
He did, correct, yeah. But like for every Spider-Man, like across every universe,
yeah,
that is kind of like somebody has to die in order for Spider-Man to become Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy, right?
Yep.
So we saw that in every reality, Gwen Stacy, if she does become Spider-Gwen, somebody has to die. And in this version of Spider-Gwen's arc, it was Spider-Man.
Yeah,
the other Peter Parker, basically.
Yeah.
He died. And then we actually saw that in the other Spider-Man movie, The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, where Gwen Stacy actually died at the end of that movie. So, again, somebody has to die. So the plot point, basically, what I'm trying to get at is Miles Morales, his story is the same. It's no different. Somebody has to die.
It was his uncle that died.
It's actually his dad. His dad is the one that actually has to die in order for him to become Spider-Man.
But so I'm not gonna say I know a whole lot about Miles Morales, but as far as Into the Spider-Verse,
right?
I'm just going based off of that. It was his uncle that had died.
Mm-hmm. So his uncle had died, and that was kind of like the arc that they kind of went through. But like in every other version of Spider-Man or of Miles Morales, it's his dad actually that passes away.
Okay.
So basically what ends up happening is that the Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse are trying to like fix the timeline. Hey, your dad needs to die in order for you to continue on as Spider-Man. And he's like, no, there's no way. Like, I don't want it to happen. And basically he goes against all the rules of the Spider-Verse and how the timelines work. Because, like if you change something in the timeline, you're going to screw up.
Ripple effect.
And then you create a variant timeline. We saw this in the Loki series. So basically they are going against Spider-Man. He's running away. And it's like, nope, this isn't going to happen. And you're banned. You can't go back to your world because if you go back, you're going to ruin everything. And obviously the movie's going to leave it up to interpretation of how they're going to like actually finish out that plot point. But that's kind of like the main plot of the movie. Okay. It's like it's got to do something with his dad. But also there's argument in that movie of which universe is the real 616 universe. So
are you saying like, is it the animated or is it the MCU?
Exactly.
Or is it one of the other Parkers?
So this movie actually confirms that the MCU is not the 616 universe.
So I heard about this recently that they said it was MCU is universe 19999.
Yep.
Confirming that obviously the MCU is
it's a universe.
It's a universe, and they coexist, kind of, not really obviously they're alternate universes, but everyone, Feige and all them are saying that the MCU is 616.
They were saying that this was supposed to be the 616 universe.
So,
but like as soon as we saw that there was like little changes, right? We saw that Aunt May was the one that died and not Uncle Ben. It's like, wait a minute, that's not what happened in the 616 universe.
Yeah.
The whole She-Hulk arc, Daredevil, like we just kind of see that, hey, hold on, like you're getting like all these variants, because obviously we included all these variants into the MCU, right? So now that kind of confirms that these are not the original characters that we were supposed to think that they were. So when they did all this, they actually referenced that in the Spider-Man trailer. It's like, hey, you know, you're gonna ruin everything. You're gonna ruin everything if you don't fix it, like just like that Nerd and Doctor Strange in the 19999 universe. So they directly reference Doctor Strange in the Spider-Man movie.
So how long do we have till this movie comes out?
So this movie comes out, I think it's in summer. I think this summer or fall, I believe it is. I'm not sure.
Because I wonder if they're going to eventually play it out to where it's not animated. That Miles Morales is going to be able to somehow travel through the multiverse and then make it into the MCU, because they just mentioned MCU is real. So somehow there's a way where he can somehow make it to it. And if we're going to have a live, a real character or person play Miles Morales in the MCU.
So do you know the title of the second part of Across the Spider-Verse?
So this is part 1.
This is part 1.
No, what's part 2 then?
Part 2 is Beyond the Spider-Verse. So yes, we are going to see Miles Morales come into the MCU after this.
All right, I dig it.
Because if the title is Beyond the Spider-Verse, like, obviously we're going to get out of the animation. It's going to be like another Doctor Strange, you know, like when he's going through like all those different universes, and it's like, oh man, we're going to see that basically. We're going to go from animation into live action.
Live action. So I'm curious if it's going to coincide with what Tom Holland's Spider-Man's going through right now.
Because they've been saying it for a long time now that Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to interact with Miles Morales at one point. So it's like, it's just a matter of time when, and I think it's going to be with these Spider-Verse movies. So when part 2 comes out, I think that's when it's going to be like, okay, if we're going beyond the Spider-Verse, we're going to go into the real world. That's
some awesome creative foresight, you know, to have that idea to, all right, we have this animated version of Miles Morales, and then I wonder if they thought that far ahead. They're like, how can we integrate this kid into the actual MCU?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I remember, what movie was it? There was a movie I went to the theater, and I remember they showed like a 10-minute snippet of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse right before the actual MCU movie, and I was like,
oh yeah,
I couldn't remember what it was. Was it Spider-Man No Way Home?
I think it was No Way Home. Yeah.
And I was like, what? They're showing, you know, it was kind of like they might have been leading in, like, hey, these coincide a lot more than you think they do.
Well, originally they were not meant to. So like originally the Sony Miles Morales, you know, like the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse.
Across is the second one.
Okay, Into the Spider-Verse. This was just supposed to be like its own movie, like its own thing. Yeah, like Sony just wanted like their own, like, hey, we want our own Spider-Verse, so this is how we're going to do it. But basically, when they saw the success of like the MCU and how the MCU was operating and how they were doing business and stuff like that, they were like, how can we integrate this? So I'm pretty sure Kevin Feige got his hands in there and said, hey, we can make this work.
His hands in that cookie jar.
Yeah. Yeah, we can make this work. It's just, hey, come on, like, work with us here.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see it. I'm pumped. But I'm still curious, you know, like, kind of shifting gears. When are we going to see Venom in the MCU?
Oh my God.
Because we saw,
it was such a letdown for when they hinted that he was going to be inside in the actual MCU, he was transitioning from Sony into the MCU.
Oh yeah.
When they showed that snippet at the end of Venom 2, they showed he's sitting on the bed and they show the snippet on the TV.
Yep.
Of, hey, Peter, there's this man named Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And Venom knew because he's talking. He's like, I'm that guy.
That guy.
And Venom, because his species have traveled throughout the universe.
Oh yeah.
He has, and he was kind of explaining, is I have knowledge and memories of other universes. So it was like, when I'm pretty sure it was, who was it? What had happened? I'm trying to remember what had happened that Venom transported into the MCU.
It was when he transported into the MCU. Oh man, it was when Spider-Man basically created the.
Was it Strange when Strange created the?
Or was it Doctor Strange?
I'm gonna have to go back and look. I think it might have been when Doctor Strange decided to mess with everyone's memories.
Because obviously we saw Venom in the Spider-Man post-credit scene, right? We saw him there, but we saw him there going back to his universe.
That's what it's when Doctor Strange decided to cast that spell and mess with everyone's memories, and Peter started altering the spell, allowing other people to come into his universe.
Exactly.
And Strange was telling him, Peter, stop messing with the spell.
Exactly.
So that's what pulled Venom into that universe.
So it was, okay, now I remember. It was Venom 2, post-credit scene was Venom going into
that universe.
The
and
MCU.
Then he saw on the TV, they were reporting Spider-Man is now Peter Parker. And, and that's when he was like, Venom was like that guy. Like he knew him all along because he was aware of this universe.
Exactly.
So, and then, the whole time we're sitting there before Spider-Man No Way Home came out, everyone's sitting there like, they're gonna show Venom.
Yep.
They're gonna show Venom. And then we get this letdown of Eddie Brock sitting at a bar in what I assume is Mexico.
Yep.
And and this guy's explaining it to him like, there's the Avengers.
The Avengers,
there's
this big green guy. There's a big green guy and a guy with a hammer flying across the sky.
And Eddie Brock's brain, even though he's got a symbiote attached to him, he's like,
he can't wrap his
mind around that. He's
exactly.
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, and then out of nowhere, he gets pulled back in.
Yep.
But we saw that little drop of Venom that was left behind.
Exactly. Part of that symbiote just stayed behind, which is kind of like, that's weird to me in itself, right? So obviously the symbiote and Eddie Brock are one, right? So if they got sent back to their universe respectively, then why didn't that little piece of symbiote go back with them? Because that was part of Venom as well.
Yeah, like I don't understand how. I'm not even going to try to wrap my brain around how that happened. I'm okay with it because that, it shows that, hey, we're eventually going to get Venom against maybe, I don't know, unless they decide to just keep playing with my emotions and like,
yeah. So one other theory that I have, and maybe I'm going to be wrong about this, I don't know, but I like to speculate about these sort of things, right? So obviously we saw that Carnage is a offspring of Venom. Yeah. We know that for a fact. And we also know that off of each offspring, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. What if that little sliver of symbiote from Venom, instead of turning into Venom, turns into Toxin? Because Toxin's the next one in line to be like the next symbiote, right? So what if that's the version that we're going to get?
I'd be mad, to be honest. Because you're jumping characters. You need to show, like, for the longest time, what Spider-Man's biggest opponent was Venom. And then eventually they showed Carnage. And then throughout time, they had 100 new symbiotes pop up. And now it's I can't even keep up with all of them.
There's a lot of symbiotes actually now. Yeah.
So to me, show Venom versus Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
And I think the reason why they did that end screen or that cut scene was because it's Sony. It was like Venom is Sony.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Spider-Man is Sony, technically.
But they had an agreement.
They did. They did have an agreement. I will say that. But I think Sony's biggest agreement on... Obviously, it's like the whole Spider-Man franchise that Sony controls. But the MCU can kind of play it like fast and loose, per se, with like some of those characters, right? Like with like the bad guys or like the adjacent characters like James Jonah Jameson, right? So we saw James Jonah Jameson, the Daily Bugle, and all that kind of stuff in the MCU, way before we saw like Spider-Man, basically. Yeah. So it's kind of like like I said, they can just kind of play it fast and loose there. Obviously, with Spider-Man himself, then no, we need the agreement there. That still belongs to Sony. I'm just waiting for Disney to like buy Sony and say, all right, we're gonna do whatever we want.
I don't see that one happening. That's a big purchase. But I'm speculating maybe they didn't show Venom because they already had too many villains in that movie, and it wouldn't have given Venom the proper amount of screen time.
That is true. Yeah.
You had 3 Spider-Mans. I don't know. So obviously that Venom is gonna be Tom Holland's Venom.
Yep. Absolutely.
And you kind of heard what's his name? Tobey Maguire mentioned Venom once. He goes, "Yeah, I fought an alien."
I fought an alien. Exactly.
So he mentioned his Venom.
Yeah.
So this one's going to be Tom Holland's Venom.
Yeah.
But it won't look anything like the Venom we saw for what's his name? The guy who plays Venom.
Oh man.
He played Bane as well. Why is my brain going dead?
Golly. Always when you try to think of the character's name, the guy's name is not Tom.
That's gonna drive me crazy.
Let's start with a T.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Freaking Toms.
Damn, Toms.
Yeah, so yeah. I wonder if Tom Hardy's Venom is gonna look the exact same for Tom. Too many freaking Toms, man.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland's, his Venom. If they're gonna look the exact same, because remember,
obviously we saw that the Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland,
T's.
Tom Hardy, Good God, man. Anyway, so we saw that the Venom in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies was not the same.
No.
We can make an argument that they might have looked similar, but I think the way that symbiote behaved with the host was kind of a little bit different. We saw that in the Tobey Maguire movies that Venom took over the body. He didn't just disappear into the body whenever he was done. It was just more like he was just attached to him and then just kind of took over his body completely, right?
Yep.
And this one, in the Sony Venom movies, we see that that's the case. He just kind of goes into his body himself, and we see Eddie Brock just kind of walking around like normal, like nothing's happening, and he comes out of his body.
Yep.
Basically, whenever he takes over. So I think this one is definitely going to be different, like how he behaves, how he interacts, and
so I think Eddie Brock from Sony, Tom, not Tom Holland, Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy, because he's actually good at heart. Mm-hmm. I think his Eddie Brock is good at heart, so I think that's why this Venom is good. I think that little bit of this symbiote that was left behind.
Yeah.
What if that doesn't have that Eddie Brock, there to kind of persuade him, hey, don't do bad.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that one's going to be just whatever Eddie in that universe is attached to.
Well, what if it's not going to be Eddie Brock? What if it's Flash Thompson?
Ooh.
Because we know that the Flash Thompson version of Venom, he was a lot more aggressive.
Yeah.
A lot more aggressive, because Flash Thompson was a jock, he was a bully basically in school and all that kind of stuff. So if that's the version that we get, it's going to be violent.
That's dope. I didn't think of that. Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah. So like I'd be okay with that too. But we still haven't seen a Flash Thompson. Well, we did see Flash Thompson actually in the Tom Holland movies, but it was that scrawny kid, man. Like what's like I don't see that guy being bad. He was just kind of like walking around like following Peter, like, yeah, I know Spider-Man. Yeah, that's my best friend.
Not only that.
Yeah.
Wrong ethnicity?
Well, there it is.
Was it? I'm just saying. I'm stating it. Was if I can remember right, Flash wasn't or
you don't have to be white to be a bully.
You don't. You don't. But I'm just staying true to the comics, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Wasn't he white?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not gonna.
How do we move forward from here?
I'm just saying. I thought if there, obviously there's different. The MCU's doing a little differently, but
they are being inclusive. That's the whole thing nowadays. You got to be inclusive. You got to bring people from other races in.
It's gonna look stupid now. I'm just kidding. I don't think he's mean enough, man.
No.
He's a jerk, but he's not mean enough.
His character, the way that he was portrayed, he was just not like bully type. He was just kind of he was rich, he had money, and he always wanted to be flashy and just kind of show off, like very showy character. Like he wasn't necessarily like trying to be a bully. It was just like, oh, look at me, like I'm better than everybody else.
I'm trying to remember too, and as far as comic version or any animated version, was Flash, was he pretty stocky guy?
Yeah, for the most part, he's always portrayed as kind of like a jock, basically.
Yeah,
like
so kind of like how Eddie was.
Team.
Eddie was pretty
stocky
guy,
he was pretty stocky guy. Yeah.
So then when Venom comes out, Venom's even more jacked.
Exactly.
So I don't see it's gonna look like
well, in
like
the
Tobey Maguire's
Venom,
Venom's gonna be all scrawny and stuff.
Yeah, he was actually pretty scrawny, and then when we saw that version of Venom. That version of Venom was really skinny.
Really skinny.
Obviously, like they bulked him up a little bit. CGI, helps a lot, but they did bulk him up a little bit. But he still was skinnier than what you would think of Venom would look like. Because Venom, when you think of Venom,
you think of this overgrown,
it's just massive amount of muscle, goop
so
thing.
Now I don't know.
I guess
we'll see how it plays out, but. Yeah, I hope they do it right. Don't Disneyfy it. I want to see Venom.
Don't
like how Tom Hardy played him. Just this big joke.
Oh yeah, big yoked guy. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of big yoked guys and not playing well with others. So we move on to Shazam and the Fury of the Gods.
Yeah,
I still haven't seen that movie. But there's a lot of hit the button. So when we saw a lot of the trailers, and we've seen the news. We've seen like what's going on in the news and what's happening.
Reading the
tabloids, right? I think we have like a case of big ego in a character.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about this the other day. It's all speculation, Yeah. I don't know the dude personally, so I can't sit there and say that he's being his ego's getting in the way of making this movie right.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna flat out say it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson obviously plays
Black Adam.
Yep. The rumor out there is that he wanted a lot more control of the way the movie was going to be made and portrayed. He didn't want to be originally he was going to be a cameo, from what I'm hearing. In the first Shazam movie.
Yep. Yeah.
And then he's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Cameos,
so then when they finally got the green light to make Black Adam, that the actor
they wanted to bring Shazam
into cameo into
the Black Adam movie,
and he fought that tooth and nail. Was like, no, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
He finally was okay with Henry Cavill, which is cool because Superman is he's a big opponent of Black Adam.
Yep.
Problem is, not as much as Shazam was.
Exactly.
So they all hail from the same wizardry, magic, and stuff. So it didn't make sense on why he wouldn't want that.
Like it's a cameo, dude. Like you would make the universe, that universe for those characters, you would have made it so much better.
So much better.
For you to just do a cameo, it also confirms that you're going to be there for the long run. You know, you're not just going to be there to like just play your character, your version of the characters.
You're going to play a prolific, important piece.
A universe.
Yeah, for going forward, because they're trying to do what the MCU
is doing.
Correct. Right? They're trying to build this storyline.
Absolutely.
So, dude, you're not going to be the number one character throughout the whole thing.
You can't be.
You can't be.
No.
First off, let's just get it. Let's just lay it out right here. As far as the DC is, in DCU, it is going to be Superman and Batman. Those are the two characters they're going to base a story around those two characters.
Exactly.
I don't care what you say or what you say or who you are.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Everything, even in the comics, it all ends up leading towards those two.
Yeah,
It
for sure.
has.
And just like in the MCU, you know, like your biggest character was basically Iron Man. We started with Iron Man. We ended with Iron Man. But Iron Man was not the center of that whole universe, of that whole franchise.
Nope.
You had a whole lot more characters. You had an Avengers team. You had everything going on for that series. That's why that series did so good. That's why the MCU is doing the way it is. You know, like it's doing really good.
All these characters the proper screen time.
All of them. Every single one of them. So, like, for you to say, like, because there was a rumor that Dwayne Johnson wanted the entire universe to revolve around his Black Adam movie, and it's like, it doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. He was trying to, like, fight tooth and nail and say, yeah, like, it could work. It could definitely work.
I know that
I don't think it can.
I know there's a few comics out there, issues that, you know, the storyline probably does resolve around him, Black Adam, but to me, we are starting to see Darkseid, so I'm more interested in that than I am Black Adam. Lead it all towards him. If he's got a part to play, okay, do the part to play.
Absolutely,
that's the guy. That is DC's Thanos.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
So lead it all towards that. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
that is the epic fight when when Darkseid eventually invades Earth and brings his army with him.
Yeah.
Dude, that's such a great issue.
That's the end game.
Yeah.
That's DC's end game. I gotta like make that.
That'd have been something I would have been invested in watching.
Like, yeah, when the Zack Snyder version of Justice League came out, which was 4 hours long.
Yeah,
he did it right. He definitely did it right. That first version of Justice League, it was all right, but like it didn't explain much. Once we got Zack Snyder's version, oh man, absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful, masterpiece. But yeah, no. There's also supposed to be like another cameo in this movie, in this Shazam: Fury of the Gods movie from Black Adam, and again, he just refused to do it, and it just kind of shows that he's not necessarily like a big team player.
Doesn't play well with others.
It doesn't play well with others. We've seen that in the Fast and Furious movies. Him and Vin Diesel were not like very eye to eye, and it just kind of like, I'm not saying that Dwayne Johnson is like a bad person to work with. Like, he does really good movies. I will give him that. Like, his movies are really good entertainment, and he definitely wants to deliver good movies to the audience.
Yeah.
But by saying that, you have to play well with others, dude. You have to be able to play. Yeah, there's a give and take here, man. You wanted to do this for the audience. Well, the audience definitely appreciate it, but they also want to see how you work with, the other characters.
Listen to what we're saying at this point, right? You're like, he likes the character. He from the looks of it, he fell in love with the character. That's why he wanted to portray it. But at the same time, understand that just because you're playing it, that is not your.
He was supposed to play this character 15 years ago.
Yeah, it took forever for
15
production
years ago
to actually get the ball going.
But like, because he wanted it a certain way, DC kept saying like, oh no, that's not how we want to do it. That's not how we want to do it. And that's like Dwayne Johnson kept fighting tooth and nail back and forth with DC, in which back then I could understand it because DC was doing some crazy stuff with their characters back then, and it's like, okay, I mean, none of these stories line up. You're just doing movie after movie. Dwayne Johnson wanted it to be a full universe, which is understandable. But obviously, it wasn't what we all expected.
Yeah.
So, Dwayne Johnson wanted one thing, DC wanted another. 15 years later, they finally get the movie done, but I think this is going to be the last movie we get for Black Adam.
Yeah.
Just because there's way too much.
He kind of tarnished what could have been. I don't know. This is all speculation still, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the dude personally.
Yeah.
But James Gunn's in now, and it's his way or the highway at this point.
Yeah.
And he has a record that says, if you don't believe me that I can do good movies,
absolutely,
look at my resume.
Look at my resume
and
here.
And Guardians for itself speaks for itself.
Oh yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy speaks for itself. Those movies were both great. We're coming up on the third one. Got tickets for that already.
Yep, it's gonna make me cry. I'm already. Listen, 100%. Dude, I will not deny it. I am such a big baby. I may act all hard in the streets and stuff, but man, deep down, I'll tell you 100%. Logan, I cried. I cried like a baby.
Yeah.
when his daughter pretty much said, "Go home to mama. Tell him all the bad guys are gone." Dude, waterworks. I grew up seeing this character, and he played the character for 10 plus years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And to see him say goodbye, and now knowing that he's coming back for
he's coming back.
Deadpool,
it's like, oh, come on,
dude. I could have.
It's an emotional roller coaster, man. You're playing with my emotions at this point.
I could have kicked my sister. I was so happy. Oh, so full of joy.
Well done. Oh yeah, I'm excited to see Logan. I've definitely choked up in a few movies. Definitely Spider-Man was one of them. I was like,
yeah.
Come
and
on.
so James Gunn's doing it right. They're ending it on this third movie. Obviously, he's with the DC, and I don't know if it was James Gunn's original intent. It's like, hey, I'm gonna do 3 versions. I'm gonna do 3 movies of Guardians.
Well, that was always that's how every character was slated in the MCU. Every character had a minimum of 3 movies. Well, actually, I think it was more than that. I think they're slotted for 5 to 8 movies total.
Yeah,
but it's 3 main. 3 main solo movies, right?
And then they'll get cameos
and then they'll do the cameos, because obviously we saw the characters in Infinity War and Endgame as well, so that's 2 movies right there alone. I think we saw them somewhere else.
Well, you had,
I can't remember.
Not counting Guardians, you have, just an example, Iron Man. You had the 3 Iron Man movies, but you had cameos of him in...
Oh, dude. Just about every movie.
Yeah, you had him... I don't think he was in any Thor movies, but he was in the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, yeah, no. He was in the Spider-Man movies,
and he was in, what is it?
Captain America,
Civil War, that's the one.
Yeah, Civil War.
So there were cameos. He played a huge part in it, obviously, but it wasn't his movie.
Right.
It was Captain America, Civil War.
Yeah. And that movie, I'm sorry, but that movie just kind of felt like another Avengers movie. It was just it should have been named Civil War, just Civil War alone, not Captain America, because we did get Captain America, but we got Not like the entire movie was just Captain.
So,
I don't know.
Now
man.
here's the thing about that, right? Civil War. Read the comic. Great issue. That's I think it's a 2-part or 3-part, if I can remember. That storyline is epic. Obviously, to do a movie about it, it would have needed several parts. Mm-hmm. So we probably could have gone without Civil War. That could have been a major crisis event leading to it.
Yeah.
Because you have don't get me wrong. By the time they made Civil War, they had quite a few characters already developed. But Civil War is exactly what it says. Civil War. You had just about every character going against each other.
Absolutely. And that's why I say that movie should have been just named Civil War.
But I can understand why it was called Captain America Civil War, because the end result was you were either on Captain's side or you were on Iron Man's side, because they, those who opposed that bill they were trying to pass and those that were against it, or support for it. And the ending of the issue was pretty much, if I can remember, I think Cap dies. Was it Cap? Yeah, I think Captain America dies. That's how that issue was.
Oh, in the issue,
in
okay.
The actual
comic book, yeah.
And I think Winter Soldier took over for him.
Takes over for Captain America himself. Yeah.
So that's why I said that issue was such an iconic, prolific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Comic that it could have been its own separate movie series.
I wish they would have done something like that, like a series. Like I think they.
But if they'd have done it and they'd have stuck true to it, one of them would have died before Endgame. And I see where they're going. They're like, okay, I like this, but our actual Endgame isn't Endgame. It's Secret Wars.
Right, exactly.
So we're leading towards this. They picked a storyline, and they're like, okay, along the way, we'll do Infinity Stones, we'll do Infinity War and all this. Absolutely. Civil War, we'll throw it in there, but we're not going to play it out to its full extent where we're losing these characters. Certain characters are dying.
Absolutely.
Where they're actually going to die or we're going to lose some is in Secret Wars.
It's over here,
further down the line. So I understand it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and I think like from here to there, because obviously Secret Wars, we are going to have mutants by Secret, because Secret Wars includes mutants in there. So I think throughout like these next few movies and series and stuff like that we're going to get from Marvel,
I really hope they bring Apocalypse back, man.
I think they're going to start introducing, like certain mutants, like little by little by little by little, or it's just going to be like one of those things, multiple incursions happen and all these mutants end up coming in from a different world, like a different universe, because their universe got destroyed.
Yeah.
Like in the because if we remember, like the Fox Marvel X-Men movies, we get no hint at Captain America, Hulk, nothing.
It is all mutants.
It's all mutants, right? So it is assumed that whole franchise was just a universe just full of mutants.
And I know you say that Miss Marvel is probably where they first talk about introducing, but I would like to say Deadpool. Deadpool is where they start actually mentioning of the MCU and Marvel universe as one, because he could break the fourth wall. So he's aware of Cable being Thanos.
Definitely.
He's aware of the X-Men.
Yeah.
So he's the one who actually pieced it together.
So I don't know if I can agree.
That's the
fully.
hill I'm dying on.
That's I don't know if I can agree fully with that. Like I do see what you're saying. Like I get your point. But Deadpool was still originally considered a Fox Marvel character. Did he reference a lot of MCU stuff? Yes, he did. But I think that was just kind of like Fox saying, like throwing in these movies, and Ryan Reynolds too, like he's a cameo god basically.
Oh, absolutely.
He likes to just do Easter eggs after Easter eggs in everything that he does. But I think that was like the whole objective of the movie. It's like to give Deadpool a story arc and also like hint at, hey, we would do good in the MCU. We could do pretty good.
So the beginning of it all, let's go ahead and hand that torch to RDJ. Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
for starting the MCU, right?
Starting the
that
MCU.
guy carried
Yep.
the franchise on his back.
Absolutely.
Now that he's gone, I think he passed the torch on to Ryan Reynolds. Because if it wasn't, Ryan Reynolds is probably pushing.
Whoa.
Now this is where I'm going for this, right?
Whoa.
Ryan Reynolds is pushing to get the X-Men introduced in the MCU.
Right, absolutely.
And from where I'm, what little I'm picking up on.
Right.
So the hint is that the new Deadpool, obviously Deadpool 3's it's no longer rumors. Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine in it.
In Deadpool 3,
And
yeah.
there's
correct.
rumors, though, he's got the time machine still from Cable.
He does.
That's how they're going to introduce them somehow, play the time where he then introduces
Right.
into the MCU, right?
But this is only referencing to time, not not multiverse. This is just time.
Yes.
But, well, hold on. Because at the end of the Deadpool 2 movie, we saw that he went to that alternate timeline and killed his old version of Deadpool.
Old version, yep. So he broke the multiverse. He's not going through time anymore. He has somehow broke the multiverse.
He did break the multiverse.
Bam. That right there. We don't know how, but he did it. And in Doctor Strange, into the damn it, what's that new the latest into the Strange
Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
Who was with him?
Who was with Doctor Strange?
Yeah. Who was helping him jump through the
America Chavez?
Yeah,
Or,
America Chavez.
Yeah, America Chavez.
Who's a mutant.
Yes. Absolutely.
So somehow they are gonna somehow tie that in. Like they're slowly introducing these mutants into it, and I think Ryan Reynolds behind the scenes is talking to to Kevin Feige and all them, saying, "Hey, we should end up leading these movies into one, to where by the end, when Secret Wars is ready to happen."
Right.
So and you know how persuasive Ryan Reynolds is nowadays.
Yeah.
The fact that Deadpool wouldn't have happened if he didn't leak it to begin with.
Oh yeah.
So this guy, he's pushing the buttons behind the scenes to make this happen.
Yeah.
He's the reason, in my opinion, why the mutants are slowly being introduced into the MCU.
And I mean, like I said, I can agree to a certain point. Because I know Kevin Feige also wanted to introduce mutants a long time ago.
Yeah.
The only problem was, like conflict of, different studios
owning rights
to these characters. Obviously, we see that he's introducing them in slowly, but he's introducing the ones that he can legally do, right? Like Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is a mutant. According to the movies, and so far, like in the WandaVision series,
Yep.
we saw that they kind of did canon that.
Yeah.
Because
I'll agree with that one.
up until now, up until then, we always saw that it's like, okay, well, is she the son of Magneto or the daughter of Magneto, or like what's going on?
That goes
Like,
down a whole nother rabbit hole.
You're going down the whole rabbit hole. Why did you introduce her if you're not going to give her like a backstory? But then, obviously WandaVision happened. We acquired Fox. Now we can kind of like talk about these things. And then
now that they acquired Fox, I wonder if they're going to, because obviously they give the backstory. Well, we're sitting there waiting for the bomb to go off, the Stark bomb to go off.
Exactly.
Our parents had died.
Mm-hmm.
We're just, I wonder if they're going to somehow tell a story of, hey, your
I don't think those
had,
were her parents.
Yeah, your parents could have died. Well, it could have been the biological mother.
I mean,
but
maybe.
Here's
but
the
like,
problem.
who was that?
Quicksilver is, this is where we're going to come into it, some issues, because there are two Quicksilvers there's one Quicksilver in the MCU, and then there's one Quicksilver the Fox universe.
This is where also it got like
my
weird.
brain, it can't.
Because MCU Quicksilver died.
Mm-hmm.
So he did. But then we saw Fox Marvel Quicksilver come into the show. WandaVision.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on.
I was like,
I was
thank you
pumped
for throwing that knot.
I was pumped.
Yeah.
But we also saw that in the last what was it? Which movie was it? X-Men, the last last class or what?
Are you talking about the last one with Quicksilver?
With Quicksilver, where he like runs in the room and like saves all the students. Was Days of Future Past, where it's like, oh, you know, my dad and this and that. Like, oh yeah, that's your dad right there. Magneto's your dad. So we confirmed that.
Yeah,
but obviously, if Quicksilver showed up in the MCU and it's like, oh hey, my sister, you know, hey, what's going on, sis? And it's like, wait a minute, hold on, sis. Magneto.
I wonder if they're gonna give him different moms.
Are we gonna finally? Oh man, oh dear God.
And that's all we have for today's episode.
We will come back. We will come back with more information. We'll have more discussions, and to leave on a good note, who would win, Thanos or Darkseid?
Ooh. Are we talking Thanos without the gauntlet or with the gauntlet?
So I think Thanos without the gauntlet, he's going down.
Without the yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
He's going down.
He's going down.
With gauntlet?
Because Darkseid can pretty much go toe to toe with Superman. Thanos, he's a beast, but I don't see him taking
how many Infinity Stones would Thanos need to beat Darkseid?
One, in my opinion.
One Infinity Stone.
One Infinity Stone, because it all depends on what Infinity Stone you're picking. If he's picking power, the Power Stone,
yeah,
he's got it. The
That's
Power
it.
Stone has been shown to wipe out planets.
Yeah, that's true. Wipe out.
With the Power Stone, Thanos pulled an entire moon and threw it at Iron Man.
At Iron.
Pulled the entire
moon. It's like, all right, we're bringing this down.
Maybe throw another
Lights
moon
out.
at me. I'm gonna lose it.
Good night. But on that note, you guys let us know what you think: Thanos or Darkseid?
Thanos
Gauntlet?
or Darkseid?
No gauntlet. How many Infinity Stones would it take? Which
Put
Infinity
down in the
Stone?
comments down below.
Which Infinity Stone would it be? And on that note,
We'll catch you
we
guys
appreciate
later.
you guys watching.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys later. And this was Nerd Mythology.
Peace.
Peace.